the duration of your work at the rubber plantation. That is, you also had experience working there since the Sangkum Rihniyum, and you continued working until 1975 or 76, and then you resumed your work again in the rubber plantation union. And my question is to focus on the period between 1975 to 77, that is before you were arrested and sent to Au Conseil Security Center. Did you work through the entire period, or did you at one point stop working there and went to work elsewhere? Answer. Between the period of 1975 to 76, I was not a rubber plantation worker. In fact, I worked in the rice fields in Tropang Che village in Ratnakiri province. Question. When did you return to the rubber plantation, that is, during the Democratic Committee regime? Answer. I can recall it clearly. However, it happened in around mid-1976 when I was called to work in the rubber plantation to be in charge of the technical group. Questioned. You said you were in charge of workers for the technical group. Were you the supervisor of the technical group? Answer. I could be considered a section chief, and I took charge of 4 or 5 technicians within the rubber plantation. Thank you. Question. I'd like to refer to your WRI, that is E3/5172. At Khmer EN 00189251. And English, I believe it is in the first question. And allow me to quote. Until 1975 to 76, I worked as a rubber plantation worker under the supervision of the Khmer rules. Unquote. Free translation. And Mr. Witness, that is your statement in your interview. However, you just made mention that in 1975 you did not work in the rubber plantation, but you worked in the rice field. Please tell us which version is correct. Answer. It was difficult for me to pinpoint the exact date that I worked there. And what I could say is that after I left the rice field, I was assigned to work in the rubber plantation to be in charge of the technicians in the plantation. And that is what happened chronologically, but I cannot give you the exact date. And I could only give you an estimate of the year that I was transferred to work there. Question. I try to clarify the date because in the written record of your interview, you provide a very clear date of your arrest. Now I'd like to refer to your ex-wife, who was also transferred to work as at the rubber plantation with you. Could you tell the court whether you two were transferred to the rubber plantation at the same time? Answer. We came together. Question. Did you two leave a specific work site before you were transferred to work at the rubber plantation? Answer. We left the area of Tropang commune that is in Kon Mum district to work as a worker for the union. Question. Is Tropang the area that you worked in the rice field? And if so, how many times did you spend working in the rice field in Tropang Chre? Answer. Can I recall how many years I worked there? After the country plunged into chaos, I left the rubber plantation to live in Tropang Chre and to work in the rice fields there until the time that I was called to work as a technician at the rubber plantation during the Democratic Cambodia regime. Question. Yesterday you testified that you stopped working in the rubber plantation in 1970, that is after the coup d'etat. Could you tell the chamber what you did between 1970 to 1975 and where? Answer. After the coup d'etat, I went to work in the rice fields in Tropang Chre commune. Question. So, does it mean that you came to work in the rice fields in Tropang Chre commune from 1970 and you continued working in the rice field there until your day of transfer to the rubber plantation? Answer. I left the rubber plantation to go and work in the rice field in Tropang Chre until the day that I was called to return to the rubber plantation. Question. You already responded to my question in relation to the reasons of your arrest. Can you tell the court the reasons for the arrest of your former wife? And actually, I responded to that question yesterday. The arrest, I did not know the reasons for the arrest, and in fact, she was not told that she would be arrested. What I knew is that we were told to go for re-education and we were asked to board a vehicle. Questioned. So, that was the information that they provided to you when you were instructed to go to Ô Con Say. However, while you were at Okansai, did they tell you, did you know the reasons for the arrest of your ex-wife? Answer. I did not know what she did wrong, and that's why she was arrested. Question. Mr. President, I'd like to refer to a document that is E3/9357 at question answer number 4. Question. Allow me to quote an excerpt from this document called. They called us to be interrogated one by one. They questioned me, where is your birth village? And then they pressed me on whether I had communicated with the June. I still answered the same things that I had not communicated with the Yuan. The interrogators did not bully or hit me, end of quote. And Mr. Witness, after you arrived at the Okonsan Security Center, did they question you about your communication or relationship with the Yuans? Answer. I actually responded to this question yesterday. Question. Thank you. Regarding the time period that you saw Jarai people who were sent to Okonsan Security Center, and you said that that happened about a month after your arrival. You said that you saw a group of Jarai people who were transported to the center, and you overheard the guards or the militia talking about this. And yesterday you also responded through the question in relation to this matter that you saw dead bodies of the Jarai people from clothing, backpacks, and torches. And that you saw those belongings or properties at the jackfruit plantation. And you also confirmed that happened in around February or March of 1978. You also said that happened during the season where jackfruits got ripe. My question to you is that, do you stand by that statement? President, International Deputy Co-Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Mr. President, I don't recall the witness indicating the year in which he said that he saw the bodies of the Jirai at the jackfruit plantation, so perhaps if counsel could give us a citation to yesterday's transcript, then we would be able to find that.
If I may respond, Mr. President, we pinned it down, I believe, to April the next year. That must be April 78. April 79 would not be possible because then the Vietnamese had arrived. So logically, it could only be April 78.
President, the International Deputy Co-Prosecutor actually requests the Defense Counsel to provide the transcript of yesterday's hearing, and you refer to the February or March period that it was the jackfruit got ripe. And actually it was Counsel Copper yesterday who spoke about April. And Defense Counsel, if you refer to a transcript, please refer to the exact time of the transcript. Can you do that? Mr. President, I actually tried to get clarification from the witness because it was not clear from what he testified and from what is on the transcript. That's why I tried to ask for the time of the arrest of the Charai group and whether that happened in around February or March of 1978. That is when the witness said it was the period that jackfruits got ripe. He testified that he was sent to Okansang Center in 1977, and that is on the 16th of June 77 to be precise. So I'd like to check with the witness whether his testimony is correct. President, the witness has already testified, and it is not up to the witness to assess whether his testimony is correct or not. It is a discretion of the chamber to make such an assessment, and if you find any unclear point from his transcript, then you should pinpoint the time of the transcript. President, Counsel, Mr. President, maybe you get confused. President interrupts. You are not permitted to get the witness to say whether his testimony is correct or not. And if you yourself find any point that is unclear from his testimony, please make a quote of that part from the transcript and then put it to the witness. It is not up to you to put to the witness whether his testimony yesterday is correct or not. Counsel, I want to know the position of the witness. President interrupts. Witness, you are not required to respond to this question. Counsel, in a transcript on the 2nd March 2016, between 3 o'clock 37 minutes, when you were asked was a dry season in February, March, or April? And his answer is jackfruits got ripe in February or March. And the next question, was it during the time of the Khmer New Year? Answer, no. The New Year did not fall in February or March. The New Year fell in April, that is from the 13th of April onward. So from what you testified, it means that the event that took place, or that when the jackfruits got ripe, that was in February or March, and that when the Jara people got killed. And my question to you, Mr. Witness, are you standing by that statement? But Mr. President, in order for the witness to have the whole picture, and in order for him to be able to respond to the question by defense counsel, I'd like also to refer to his transcript that is at 3 o'clock at 39 minutes 37 seconds. He said that it was not 7 or 8 months after my arrest, and I have already answered that about a month after I arrived, I saw those people who were brought in, and about a week later they were taken out, and later on I was sent to guard the jackfruit plantation when I saw the dead crack opened at that pit. Thank you.
Look,
Mr. President, may I seek your permission to allow the witness to give his response? President, do you recall the question, Mr. Witness? If so, please give your response. Witness, I do not recall the question put by lawyer for the accused. Kong Samon, my question is rather short. Do you still confirm that it was in February or March when you witnessed that Jarai ethnicities were killed? Witness, I cannot tell exact month of that year, February or March. I only know that the jackfruits got ripe from February onwards. So from February up to June, then that was the season that jackfruits got ripe. Lawyer, you stated yesterday that you were detained at Old Security Center with your ex-wife, and at the time your ex-wife was pregnant, 1 month or 2 months pregnant. Do you recall that you testified this point to the chamber? Answer, yes. Lawyer, thank you. Mr. President, I would like to quote an extract from a document A3/9357 at question and answer number 6. Quote, about after I gave birth to a child for about 2-3 months, I saw the minority people tied in a string. Some carried and some walked their children. All of them were about 20-30 females. They were placed in the building with me. As for the males, I did not know. In about 3-4 days later, these minority people were told that they would be taken back to their birth district. Unquote. Regarding this extract, could you tell the court whether or not you recall the time when your ex-wife delivered the baby at the security center? Answer: I cannot recall the exact month when my ex-wife delivered the baby. What I can recall is that my child was born in 1978. Question: do you recall the month when your child was born? Answer: no, I cannot. I do not recall it. Question: perhaps your child was born in February or March. Is that so? Answer: I cannot tell you that he was born in that month or of that year. Lawyer: thank you. Concerning your ex-wife, you stated that you two stay together up until 1986. Is that correct? Answer: I got divorced in I was separated from her in 1986, said the witness. Question: after the fall of Khmer Rouge regime, did you two ever talk about the the time when you two were detained in Okan Sang Security Center? Answer: we did not recall the past. We, from that time onward, was trying to do bad things for our future. Lawyer: so after the liberation or the fall of the Khmer Rouge, did you discuss any experience with your ex-wife about when you entered Okan Security Center? Answer: it was useless to recall the past experience in my family, so I and my ex-wife never discussed the bad things that had happened to us. Lawyer: thank you. Question: did you ever tell your ex-wife that you would come to testify before this chamber? Answer: she is in Phnom Penh and I am living in Ratanakiri. Question: do you have any idea or do you know that your wife has some issue or is being called by the chamber? Answer: no. Lawyer: Mr. President, I am done.
បាទអរគុណដែលសូមអញ្ជើញដល់វិទ្យការ
President, thank you. The floor is now given back to the defense team for Mr. Nguyen Chia. You may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Mr. Witness. I have not very many questions, just a few this morning. I want to come back to the story that you told yesterday about Nok and the bladder of a woman. Is my understanding correct that it was just the story that you knew of, the story that Nok was telling, and that you haven't actually seen Nok being involved in this act.
Answer. I saw that, but I did not see the actual activities of Nyok. Nyok told the people who were in the kitchen, and during that time I was stationed close to that kitchen.
Were you able to determine whether the bladder that was hanging in the kitchen was a human bladder or possibly a bladder of an animal?
Answer. I told the court already yesterday. The one who brought that gallbladder into the kitchen talked about that gallbladder and told the people in the kitchen about that.
I understand, but maybe he wanted to scare people, and it wasn't in fact a human bladder, but it was another organ of potentially an animal. Would that be possible?
Answer. Whether that person wanted to frighten people there, I have no idea. He said that the gallbladder was belonged to the human being, and then he hung it in the kitchen.
Let me move on to another topic. Yesterday you said that when you were arrested, you and your wife were arrested, there were another 10 people from the rubber plantation who were also arrested. Is that correct?
Answer. I cannot say there were 10 people on the vehicle. I said possibly there were around 10 people who had been arrested on the same day.
Can you tell the court what happened to these 10 or so people who were arrested at the same day as you, on the same day as you?
Answer. It was the internal business of Angka. I have no idea about that.
Did you ever see them later within the compound of Okanseng Re-Education School?
Answer. Some were chained together and some others were detained in a different building. We were detained together, but we could not discuss freely but about our living condition there.
I understand, but did you see them later, maybe in 1978 when you were working? Did you see them also working on the compound or outside the compound? Were they working just like you?
Answer. We had the same work to do, and concerning the question concerning asking each other what mistakes did you commit or did I commit, we never discussed about this issue.
Do you know if any of those fellow 10 or so prisoners are still alive today?
Answer. I have no idea. I do not know about that. After we left the security center, we were looking for our own professions for our future, and I have no idea where they have gone and the whereabouts of them.
Yesterday you described 2 incidents of people dying. Were you the only prisoner that observed these events, or are there any other prisoners who could confirm what you said you saw?
Answer. For other prisoners, I do not have idea whether other prisoners could see that incident. At that time, I was on the sugar palm tree, and I could see the incident happening.
But did you tell anybody at the time what you saw? Did you tell the story to anyone in the re-education school, or did you tell the story to anyone after 1979?
After 1979, I discussed about the experience or about the grave with my relatives. My relatives wanted to know about the grave.
Let me ask it differently. Is there anyone who can confirm having heard you tell the story, for instance, about these 2 division prisoners being killed? Is there anyone to whom you told that story who could confirm what you told him or her?
Answer. It appears that I did not go around and discuss about this issue. Everyone knew that the detention centers existed in the security. The detention buildings existed in the security center, and at that center, killings was conducted.
Yesterday you were asked a question by the prosecution as to what the official name was of the place where you were detained, and you called it re-education school. Do you recall whether the re-education school had a number?
Answer. Angka was the one who assigned. I do not know about that. It was the business of Angka. I was not engaged in Angka's business.
Maybe I can possibly help you to refresh your memory. Do the numbers of the re-education school 809 and 8010 somehow ring a bell?
Answer. No, it did not ring the bell.
Mr. President, I would like to read a very small excerpt from WRI, which is not on the interface. We just realized that now. It describes position of re-education schools 810 and 809. And I want to read the description of the location, and maybe that rings a bell to the witness. If it's not terribly important.
Question is just, has it been admitted? There are always two steps. One is admittance,
Yes,
and then
it's E3/5173. It's WRI of a witness. More specifically, English ERN 00272661, French 002726667 and 8, and Khmer 001892666.
Any objection from any of the parties?
Well, Your Honor, no. I do note that they have 167 documents on the interface. This is the first that counsel has used, and it's not on the interface. So, I mean, it's fine for him to use it, but I do wonder why that's the situation.
I can assure you no bad faith intended, just...
មិនអនុញ្ញាតសូមអញ្ជើញ
President, so you can use the document.
Thank you, Mr. President. This witness is saying the following thing. Re-education school 810 was west of what is today the provincial hospital near a stream. But I don't know the name of the stream. The school was located along the road to Toi village. Does that ring a bell to you? West of what is today the provincial hospital near a stream, and that the school was located along the road to Toi village.
Answer. That document has nothing to do with Tui village.
Fine, thank you, Mr. Witness. I will move on. You've been asked this question before, but I would like to revisit the subject. And that is the number of prisoners in 1977 and in 1978. You don't know the exact numbers, but would it be roughly about 70 prisoners in 1977 and about 100 prisoners in 1978?
Answer. Regarding the number, I cannot recall the exact number. I was not responsible for going and counting the numbers of detainees.
I understand, but about 70 in 1977 and about 100 in 78, would that be roughly accurate?
President, you have the floor. Lead co-lawyer for civil party.
Monsieur le Président, je crois que le témoin a répondu plusieurs fois.
The witness has answered the question several times. And he has stated that he was unable to know the total number of prisoners, so it is not useful for the counsel to continue putting the same questions in the hope that the witness will give him the answer that he is looking for.
I think it might assist memory of the witness if I gave him a number that another witness mentioned. He can say, no, there were many more, or that is roughly right, or he can say, I don't know. So I don't think it's repetitive, it's just trying to get some more clarification.
Mr. President, if this is coming from the evidence of another witness, then we should know which witness, and he should put a quote from that witness's statement.
It's the evidence contained in E3/405 and is of an upcoming witness to TCW 840. It is question and answer 8. It's actually, well, yeah, I will not elaborate on the person. I just refer to him. He's coming next week as a witness. So that's where the evidence is coming from. So, Mr. Witness, about 50 to 70 in 1977 and about 100 in total in 78. Would that be roughly accurate? Would that be more or less?
Answer. This is a repetitive question. As I said, I have no idea about the exact figure. I was not responsible for going and counting numbers of detainees. I was the one who was detained and chained in the detention building, so I do not know about that.
No problem, Mr. Witness. Yesterday you spoke about the work that you did in and outside the compound, that you were planting potatoes and vegetables. Do you remember, or was it the case that you also, that the prisoners also ate the vegetables and potatoes that were planted in the compound and outside the compound?
Answer. This is also a repetitive question. I told the court already yesterday. The regulation at the center were 1. Not to plea and not to steal. So although there were things or stuff in front of us for us to eat, we did not dare to eat. Otherwise, we would be killed.
Let me be the judge, Mr. Witness, whether a question is repetitive. My question was whether you actually ate, whether the prisoners ate the vegetables and potatoes that you grew. I believe that question wasn't asked before.
President, regarding the question can be different. One is to steal, whether someone stole the fruit to eat. And the question here is about whether you were allowed to eat the potato and vegetables. So the question from the defense team for lawyer is that did anyone could anyone eat the potato and vegetable grown at that center? And the question is also about whether or not those potatoes and vegetables were grown for the detainees at that center. Answer. If it is like what you said, Mr. President, I can give my response. The vegetables and potatoes grown by the detainees were given to the detainees. Cabbage or sweet potatoes were then cultivated and cooked for detainees. So some were provided for the detainees, but I do not know whether some other amount were sent to somewhere else.
Thank you, Mr. President. My last question, Mr. Witness, and I'm referring to another WI, which is indeed on the interface. It's E3/9326. English ERN 00272579. French 004855164, and Khmer 001899240. Mr. Witness, this witness is speaking about a worker union deputy chairman who might have been someone that you knew yourself, a person who apparently was an ethnic Jarai, whose name was Chat. Does that name ring a bell to you?
Yeah, Chad was the deputy union chief, and I did not know this person.
But is it correct that he was an ethnic Jarai?
I did not know this Chad.
So you only knew that he was indeed the worker union deputy chairman, but that's all you know, correct?
I did not say anything about this person named Chad.
There may be something went wrong in the translation. It is correct that there was a Chat who was the worker union deputy chairman. Did you just confirm that?
I did not say that Chad was the deputy chairman of the union. If I knew any deputies, then I would tell you that, because I speak the truth.
Thank you, Mr. President.
President, the Chamber would like to thank you, Mr. Pontol, for your patience and responses to all the questions. And the hearing of your testimony is now concluded. Your testimony may contribute to the ascertainment of truth in this case, and your presence in the court is no longer required, so you can return to your residence or wherever you wish to go to. The Chamber wishes you all the best. Court officer, in collaboration with the visual, please make necessary transport arrangement for Mr. Pontol to return to his residence or wherever he wishes to go to. And next, the Chamber will hear testimony of another witness, that is to TCW 867, in relation to Au Conseil Security Center. However, it is now convenient for our short break. We take a break now and resume at 20 past 10. The court is now in recess.